the Rules, Confirmation, and Public Elections. It is time to call this meeting to order, and I'm just so glad to see everybody. Today is July the 3rd. I'm sure everybody's aware of that since tomorrow is a holiday. And I detect a quorum, so we're going to get started. We're going to change things around a little bit. Usually we take the elections and confirmations, but today we're going to start with the resolutions, and I hope no one has any objections. And we're going to start with Resolution RS 2018-1244, and that's none other than Councilman at Large Jim Shulman. And this requests the Metro General Services Department of all the departments of Metro government to display flags to fly at the Metro government buildings at half-staff for a period of 1 year in honor and memory of students killed as a result of gun violence and as a reminder of the urgency of gun violence solutions. Is that correct?
That is correct,
Okay.
Council Lady. Madam Chair, and if it's okay, I'll say one thing about it.
I would like to.
Because I know it's been up twice and we've
Sure it
reported.
has, but I think that would be great.
So I've been thinking a lot about this, and it actually stems from something that Council Lady Dow said. And it's about taking action. School's out for the summer, so we continue to have shootings, so they just don't happen to be at schools because most of them are out. When we start back, then you hope that this doesn't ever happen again. But I think what Council Lady Dow said was symbolic gesture, and I understand that. But I think the idea was we want to take real action. Mm-hmm. I think what I want to do is make sure that we keep reminding ourselves that we haven't taken really any serious action yet. Not that it's the Metro Council or the legislature or Congress. It doesn't matter. Nobody's taken. I mean, it's like we're not talking about it right now. I want people to talk about it right now. I want people to keep working on this and figure out a solution. And that's why I think that's
so
why
you
the
see
purpose
that
of the resolution.
at least as a talking point.
I just want people to remind themselves. You know how this happened a long time ago with putting up yellow ribbons when people were overseas, when we were in Afghanistan and other things. It's a reminder to people. This is simply a reminder that this is a problem, and nobody's really solved anything quite yet. That's why I think it's important.
I understand that. Discussion? Anybody have any comments, remarks?
Yeah, I mean, I still have the same concerns as before. First of all, that not all that our flagpoles aren't equipped to do what's in the resolution per general services. So, I mean, I think that's the real sticking point. Just as a matter of policy, I don't think that it's going to generate the level of conversation of the yellow ribbon. It's going to generate conversation. I think people will drive by and say, hey, Metro can't keep their flags up, but I don't know that anybody's going to go home and do a Google search for why the flags are at half-staff. I agree that it's a conversation that needs to continue to happen and that we need to find a way to help push it into the forefront. I don't know that this is the vehicle for it.
Well, I'm of the opinion that it may not do as much as you would like for it to do, but I can't see where it would hurt anything. And I think that it would just generate conversation, because if you see a flag at half-staff, if nothing else, you'll wonder why it's at half-staff. And I think just doing something is indicative of we care. So, comment? Council lady?
Did we determine how do we differentiate, for example, when the people at the, like we have another incident of violence where like a dignitary died and we fly the flag. How would we differentiate that from the flag being at half-staff all the time? What I'm afraid is it's going to lose its significance. When you do things like flying a flag at half-staff and tribute type things, and then you commonize it like we do it for everybody. It's like clapping now really an applause. it means nothing because you can just wave and it's an applause. So it's losing its value. So I'm just concerned that by us doing this, that, eventually it becomes so common. It's like you said, half-staff, somebody died, keep on moving. So I don't know how we distinguish between that. And the other thing is, again, I think what I've heard from a lot of the young people and people on both sides is that they're sick of policymakers, thoughts and prayers and symbolic type gestures. I think what we can do is we can put some policy on paper and do some things that create action to show that we're moving toward some type of concern and what we want to see happen. But I think, wearing a pink ribbon, wearing an orange ribbon, those are all symbolic gestures. But at the end of the day, I think we've had them all. We've done them. We've flown the flag at half-staff. We've worn the purple ribbons, yellow ribbons, whatever. We've marched. We've been at Washington in March. And it's, we've given our thoughts and prayers and condolences. And so, I think we're at the point where what's next? I don't think anybody in this country forgets that we have some type of gun problem going on. I think about it every morning. I think it at work. I think about kids at school, at the bus stop, any event we have. I think it's fresh on all of our mind. I mean, for me it is. I don't know about other people, but I think for other people too. We know we have a problem. I think where we are now is how do we solve it? And I personally, I probably will abstain from voting on this because I don't see where we need to go through lowering our flag and keeping it there as a gesture because we already know we have a problem and we just need to take action.
Council Lady?
When this first came up, the first question, and I agree with Council Lady Dow on many points, but I like this, the direction that you were trying to go in terms of creating something where people have to remember and not just forget. So when I saw the 1 year, I didn't understand having the flag at half-staff for 1 year, but I was thinking maybe we could continue the conversation on this and maybe come up with a month that's done with something attached to that month that recognizes what you're trying to accomplish here. And that, to me, makes better sense than just a year.
Look, I mean, this is not one of those things where, I think it's safe to assume that we're all against school shootings and we want something done to stop them. The flag, this thing was just an idea about how do you make it so that people don't forget.
Right.
Now, and I appreciate what Councilor Dow said, but I go back to some of the stuff that happened around 9/11. And there's a really interesting article from Time Magazine about 5 years after that says people stepped up, people were nice to each other. For about 6 months, this country became something better. And then it went back to where it was. We need to work on this. I completely agree with Councilor Dow, but I don't see any major policy changes going on. We move from cycle to cycle. Right now we're talking about immigration, and we were just talking about North Korea. I see is there something coming on school safety that people are pushing? We just go from the next news cycle to the next one. I don't want people to forget about it. Now, I'm certainly willing to defer this indefinitely. If we can work together and come up with something. Years ago, I tried to put yellow ribbons on the public square to remember that we had people overseas, and I couldn't get even that passed. If maybe we could come up with something else, or maybe we take Councilor Dow's idea and say, let's sit down and come up with some policies. We're in the middle of the summer. School is not necessarily in session in many places. But I'm not willing I'm willing to let this drop because it's just symbolic. But
not to just let it go.
But we have to keep pushing. This was sort of a message to everyone to say, Washington, where are some of the answers? Well, how come people aren't talking about this?
And it's not just Washington, it's in our own community. I mean,
I understand.
every single night we have a shooting.
Yeah.
So,
Councilor Mina Johnson.
Yes, I was, to honor your passion and, practicality, and I think it's better to define it indefinitely and come up with, Council Lady Karen Johnson said, something more impactful and symbolic, but keep talking so we can bring our community together.
Okay, can I get a motion to?
I'll move to defer indefinitely.
Second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay. You got that? The numbers down. Okay, next we have 2018-1282, and that's referred to the Rules Confirmation of Public Elections to approve the election of certain notaries publics for Davidson County. Can I get a motion?
so moved.
Okay, can I get a second? All in favor? Aye. Okay. Okay. Next, we have 2018-1283. Elects one member to the Board of Directors of the Industrial Development Board of the Metro Government. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposers? Okay. Next, we have Ed Kendall and Kay Johnson recognizes and honors Sandra K. Brown.
Second.
Thank you. Sandra K. Brown is
Is that Dr.
the
Brown?
founder of the African Street Festival. And so this is recognizing her work over so many years, making that event a success.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposers? The ayes have it. Next, we have Resolution 1285, and that's Councilman Lars Shulman recognizes Eugene F. Nolan for his 45 years of outstanding service to the Metro government. Okay, would you like to have a word before we?
I think almost everybody knows Gene Nolan. He's been here almost since Metro started, and he is retiring, and we probably should name something after him. He is such a dedicated Metro employee and has done such a tremendous job for the city. But this is our way of recognizing him. And if we pass this tonight, I think, do you know when is he actually retiring? Joseph, do you know?
I'm sorry, say it again.
Gene, when are you retiring? No, I'm just kidding.
I'll let you know.
Okay. When is Gene Nolan retiring?
Already have.
He already has. Okay, so what we're going to do is hopefully pass this, and then we're going to invite him to the next meeting and honor him there.
Okay.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes. Just want
No
to thank you
opposers.
because the recital is wonderful and he served every single mayor from the inception of the Metro. It's amazing.
We should make him feel very, very honored when he comes here. He's a good man.
Next, we have Resolution 1286, and that's Council Lady Murphy, and it recognizes July the 9th of 2018 as the 100th anniversary of the Dutchman's Curve train wreck. Council Lady?
Yes. So this weekend there's a series of events, and I know that all of you subscribed to my newsletter and saw them in there. If not, I'm happy to forward it to you. But there is a series of five events that honor the lives that were lost, and there were. So this is a train wreck, and it's actually the largest train wreck in American history, and it happened over in my district around White Bridge Road, and it's really fascinating to hear. There's a book on it. David Ewing tells a great rendition of it, and it's really there's a lot of nuances to this story, and so I'll be presenting this Friday night at one of the remembrance dinners and things, and so I ask for all of your support, and if you'd like to sign on, you're more than welcome to.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposers? No? Okay, I think that's all of the resolutions, is that correct? Okay, we're
We
gonna,
have
well, we're gonna take,
One more
One more.
resolution.
there's one more resolution right here. Okay, that's Mina Johnson, Murphy, and others. It recognizes July as Family Reunion Month in Nashville. Okay, Council Lady?
Well, actually, it's one of the Women's Caucus resolution, and I want to recognize Councilmember Murphy for bringing that resolution. The reason I'm becoming the lead sponsor is because Council Lady Murphy is already sponsoring previous resolution.
The train wreck.
Yes, trainer.
Another train wreck. Okay.
So I am supporting this family reunion resolution. I don't want to be, too political, but would like to see every single family to be reunited in this under the, current circumstances.
That's awesome.
I do. As the Women's Caucus Chair, I think that obviously when we wrote all of these and submitted them, this is not what we planned on having a national discussion about family reunions. And so I think it's very timely, and clearly we are above board at the Women's Caucus.
Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
And second, all in favor? Aye. No opposers, the ayes have it. Okay, we're going to take the late files later, but right now we're going to do the elections and confirmations. That's always the fun part. First, we will have the Employee Benefits Board, the reappointment of Dr. Christine Bradley. And if I pronounce your name incorrectly, please don't hesitate to correct me. I would love for you to do that. And this is for a term expiring June 20th of 2021. I'd like to ask you if you are a voter in Metro Nashville.
Yes, I am.
So obviously you're a resident of Metro Nashville. Do you serve on any other boards or commissions?
Not for Metro.
Not for Metro, and that's what we ask.
Community-based organizations.
Okay, the Employee Benefits Board. Just tell us a few things about yourself.
So I've been around Metro a long time. Been around Nashville for 35 years. The reason I really like the Employee Benefit Board, I have to say, is the HR staff that staff that board are incredible. And I'm not just saying that because Shannon's here.
You sure? No.
I mean, they're amazing. They get us all the information we need. The members of the board are actually, for a board that has to make some pretty tough decisions sometimes. We may not always agree, but we really, really respect each other's opinion. And that makes you want to serve. That makes you want to do things. I might have a different opinion than you, but it doesn't matter, and we all kind of work together. So it's a board that I feel good about contributing to.
Well, at this time, we'd like to open it up to the committee. Do you have any questions, comments, or remarks?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposers? Wow. Ayes have it. Everybody knows so much.
Dr. Bradley,
Everybody's familiar with,
this gets you out of the parking garage.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Oh, and they're pink. They should be red, white, and blue.
I know.
You follow resolution.
Next, we have the Farmers Market Board, the reappointment of Mr. Tandy Wilson for a term expiring May 17th of 2023. I like your name, Tandy.
Thank you.
Okay, are you a resident of Davidson County?
Yes, I am.
You're a Davidson County voter?
I am.
Okay, do you serve on any other boards or commissions?
I do not.
Okay, I have one question. Who named you Tandy and why?
It's a family name, so it's like.
Your granddaddy's name?
Well, even further back than that.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is a
Yeah.
cool name.
Thank you.
When you're 100, they're going to think you're 10. When they say, Tandy's here. Okay, tell us a few things about yourself.
I'm a local guy, a chef here in town. I have a restaurant called City House in Germantown, and we work a lot with agriculture.
You like that? Now you know.
Yes.
Can we get a motion on it?
And he's my constituent.
Move to approve.
All in favor?
Okay.
You're not disappointed, are you?
Not at all.
Okay. Thank you so much. The ayes have it. Okay. Next, we have the Fire and Building Codes Appeals Board, the Fire and Building Codes Appeal Board, and we have the reappointment of Mr. John Finch for a term expiring March 1st, 2022. John is a cool name also. That's my dad's name. Okay. Let's get that out.
Is that a family name?
I didn't want you to feel slighted. Are you a resident of Davidson County?
I am.
Are you a registered voter here?
I am.
In Davidson County. Do you serve on any other boards or commissions?
Not in Metro.
Not in Metro. Tell us a few things about yourself.
I'm a commercial building contractor headquartered in Goodlettsville, the Davidson County side of Goodlettsville, and I'm the former mayor of Goodlettsville.
Oh, yeah. I think I did read that.
awesome.
I read that. Okay. We'd like to open it up for questions or comments from the committee.
Move to approve.
That's okay. It's not anti-climactic, is it? Okay. We'll take it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposers? The ayes have it. We thank you so much, former mayor.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Are you going to be running for anything here in Nashville?
Didn't even look back.
He didn't pass go. He didn't get $200.
Well, that was
Is there an opportunity for us to ask questions too from the side?
Of course.
Okay.
All you have to do is raise your hand.
Okay, because I did earlier, but I think you were going to.
Oh, I didn't see you.
Okay, it's okay. I just wanted to
I
see what.
apologize.
Yeah,
I
I
would
know it
never
wasn't
slight
over.
anyone.
Okay.
No.
So
Was
just do like this?
was it something that you wanted to?
You know, we can go forward. Just making sure, just.
Mendez, would you make sure I recognize her? I need help, okay?
Just stab Bob in the back.
Okay, next we have the hospital authority. We have the appointment, and we'll have, I'd like to have everybody up here, if we have enough chairs, just kind of make a semi-circle, like amphitheater style. We've had lots of people up here, however you want to situate it. But anyway, we have the appointment of Ms. Loretta Bond for a term expiring July the 11th of 2019. And Ms. Bond will fill the unexpired term of Dr. Frida Outlaw. Then we have the appointment of Dr. Shindana Fagan. Where's Shindana? Did I get that right?
Yes, Shindana.
Shindana Fagan. I've been practicing.
Is that a family name?
No, it's not.
Sorry.
Shindana Fagan. I'm so proud of myself. Dr. Fagans will fill the unexpired term of Dr. Michelle Williams. The appointment of Ms. Alexandria Fisher for a term expiring September the 6th of 2021. Ms. Fisher will fill the unexpired term of Mr. Henry Allen. And then Harry Allen. That's exactly right. Thank you. Then we have the reappointment of Mr. Joel Sullivan for a term expiring July the 11th of 2023. And if you all, you don't have to answer in unison, but if you would all, this is directed to all of you. Are you all residents of Davidson County?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, and you're all voters in Davidson County?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you serve on any other boards or commissions in Metro Davidson County?
No.
No? Okay, but we'll start with this lovely lady. Just tell us a couple of things about yourself that you're most proud of.
I'm Dr. Bond. I teach at Belmont University, professor of nursing, and I have been at Belmont since 2009. Let's see, something interesting. Actually, I've lived here in Davidson County for 3 years. We were located in Bowling Green, and my husband had a contract there. It ended, and we moved over to support me. I actually commuted for those years from Bowling Green to Nashville.
So this is a good thing.
This is a good thing, and even though I haven't been a resident longer than 3 years, I have enjoyed Nashville. So,
Okay, well, good. Thank you for that. Next.
My name is Alex Fisher. I'm a healthcare attorney at Frost Brown Todd here in town. I also do a little bit of work with Civic Point, which is our government relations team, just on the healthcare regulatory side of things. I'm also 31 weeks pregnant. I'm due September 3rd with a boy, which is our first. So we were very excited about that, my husband and I.
Congratulations. Next.
Ladies first, please.
Oh, okay.
I'm Dr. Shindana Fagans. I'm an internist. Been here since 1996. I have 3 children. That's my husband back there. And I have my own medical practice, one in Madison and one up West End. And I started, one of the things I'm proud of, I started a program called Walk With Your Doctor, and we have an annual 5K walk that I've been doing since 2013, and I'm an author of children's books.
Oh, very impressive. Wow. I'd like to open it up to the committee. Questions?
You want to ask questions?
Okay, Mr. Joe Sullivan. Last but certainly not least.
Well, thank you, ma'am. I've been a resident of Davidson County for 28 years. January 25th, 1990 at 6:30 p.m. Is the day I rolled into town, and I've served the community since that time through many nonprofit organizations and continue to do so today, and really enjoy having served the last 2 years on the hospital board and seeing it grow and do the things that it's done. and my mother was a social worker, so it's kind of in my blood.
And what have you done that you're most proud of?
What have I done that's most proud of? Turned around different companies. In particular, that's kind of my forte, is turn around and improve business as a consultant.
Okay, thank you. Council Lady Mina Johnson, I feel like you have a question.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. So, same question, but 3 new appointees. Why do you want to serve this particular board, and what is your goal and mission as a as a governing board? And Mr. Sullivan, why you want to be served again, because you are the only one reappointed? Why do you agree to continue to serve, and what is you want to do the new term compared to last time?
Go ahead.
My research is health disparities. So first of all, I'm interested in access to health care, and I understand that the hospital serves as a very key institution within the community in terms of access to health care, quality health care outcomes. So that's where my research is. In addition to that, as a nurse, I have practiced as a nurse and have interest in both quality indicators, benchmarks for health care, which posted on the website. There's a site that talks about the quality indicators for the hospital, as well as as serving as a nurse, I have an idea of nursing practice and the standards of practice within hospital institutions. So.
Well, I moved here in 2009 to attend Vanderbilt Law School and thought I would be gone right after, but fell in love with Nashville, like I think many people who come here do. Sorry, / you're welcome. One of those stayovers. So first of all, I'm just honored for the opportunity to be considered and have the opportunity to get back to a community that I take a lot from. Secondly, just working in the regulatory and compliance space in healthcare. We were talking about this a little bit beforehand with nurses, nurse practitioners, physicians before the Board of Nursing and Board of Medical Examiners. I hope to, for what it's worth, bring that perspective from a regulatory and compliance perspective and thinking through things and sort of a legal analysis to the table as we all work together to hopefully make this institution work really well and continue to fit in with the narrative of how fantastic Nashville is.
Great. Dr. Shadana?
Well, I did my medical school training at Meharry Medical College, and I did my residency at Nashville General Hospital. So I know firsthand the need in the community for those who are uninsured. And being a community physician, I see a lot of commercial patients, but I also see a lot of patients with Medicaid and their needs and just the health disparities. So my goal is to keep Nashville General Hospital open by giving my input as a community physician, knowing that need and just having the experience, being a resident at Nashville General Hospital and knowing firsthand what Nashville General Hospital means to the community.
So you're a great fit. Okay. Mr. Joe.
And I guess I would start by saying I've invested 2 hard years over the last couple of years in Nashville General Hospital, but I've sat across the street basically for the last 10 watching it, or last 8 watching it, knowing that there are people in this community that need care, and many are scared to go to normal hospitals, so to speak, or they can't afford to. And what I've enjoyed about being on the board for the last 2 years is seeing our financial stability increase, gaining trust in the mayor's office, gaining trust in the director of finance's office. And my hope moving forward is that we can convene and collaborate all of our stakeholders to make sure that we continue to grow in a positive manner, and then support Dr. Webb and the great work that he's done with the PCM, patient-centered medical health care, and making sure that we're viable in the future, because many people depend on us. Nonetheless, Meharry really depends on us. So there's a lot of work still to do, and I hope the board will leave the operational stuff to the staff because they're qualified. Dr. Webb has a very qualified staff, and the board get back to the visioning and strategic policies that they need to get to.
When you mentioned gaining trust and you articulated that, what does that really look like?
Well, it looks like people commenting that it's good to see good, solid financial data coming out of the hospital. It looks like our patient care has gone up, and we've qualified passed the JCO, Joint Commission on Healthcare. That's the things that show positive interest. It shows the community coming out to support the hospital. So that tells me that we've gained a lot of trust in just in the 2 years that I've been there, not saying I did it, but I've seen a lot come along, and being able to work collaboratively with the Director of Finance's office, where we've got great numbers thanks to Bruce Nairmore being on the board and understanding both the educational aspect and the financial aspect of the hospital.
Okay, Councilor Johnson?
Okay, I'm going to ask you a tough question.
I'm here.
What did you just mean by what is, people going to what is considered a normal hospital? General hospital is where I get my surgeries.
Yeah.
Is General Hospital a normal hospital? I'm just curious.
It's the community perspective that I've been working to change as a board member, and they think that General is not qualified to do that. When they say Vanderbilt or Centennial, I say, no, you don't understand. You get quality care at General, and they don't just treat you and put you out. They treat you and move you toward a clinic environment so that you treat to cure, not treat to mask.
Okay.
So when you say normal, it's almost like people feel like it's substandard?
They do.
Okay.
Because it's indigent care. And people feel like if it's something free, then it's not good quality. So there is a brand that comes along when people say that. But it's not just a safety net in an indigent hospital. It's a full-service hospital. It's a hospital.
Well, I consider it a normal hospital because my doctor's Dr. Edward R. Hills, and I've been going there for years. I consider it normal. I've gone to St. Thomas. I've gone to what used to be Baptist, which is now St. Thomas.
Right.
And I think the hospital at General is normal, so I just want to caution just when you reference that, because people then start to think, and you being a board member, that maybe there's something wrong there. So making sure your messaging is in a way that doesn't cause people to question that. Because I shouldn't have really had to ask that question, but I wanted to get it out on the table.
Yeah.
But I feel that General Hospital is a normal hospital. I was an inpatient.
Right.
I was there for 3-4 days. And so the quality of care that I received there versus the quality of care that I have received at, say, Southern Hills, which I won't go back there. But I've gone to other hospitals. I will go back to General because they literally treated me as though I was a queen.
And that's the story we want out there.
Yeah.
And when I'm in the public, that's the story I tell is you need to go to General.
And I guess
I apologize for that misinformation.
That's okay.
Yeah.
But I'm glad
That's why I wanted to get it out there.
That's good. Okay, that's good. I guess you would have to give a qualifier. Yes, Council Lady Gilmore, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate you. So my question for all of them is, what role do you see Nashville General Hospital playing as it relates to Meharry being the index hospital, and in terms of looking at services? And what services, if you think you need to cut some or keep those? That's my first question. I'd like to have a follow-up question after that.
That sounds good. Okay, we'll just start.
So from an educational standpoint, I just look at educational standards and know that the hospital is linked to the accreditation process for the school, my understanding. I hope I have that correct. So I see that being a very key issue in terms of supporting Meharry in the work that they do in medical education. So I know your question had two parts. I'm sorry if I didn't hear.
So do you see it as increasing partnerships or decreasing, since that's the index hospital, right? So you'll look at some things. For instance, I think it's one of the issues maybe, or the concerns is the what is it, where they have babies?
OBGYN.
The OBGYN.
Services.
I think that's an issue, right? So as you get in there, you'll have to make a decision. And Meharry, depending on Nashville General, I want to know what your positions are as it relates to that, because some things are tied to accreditation and some things will be tied to a dollar amount for the hospital. And I just wanted to see where you stood in terms of those partnerships. It's a little bit more than accreditation. It's like actually looking at the hospital, and then also looking at the partnership of Meharry, and Meharry dependent on that, just where you stand on that.
Are you saying support or no support? Is that what you're saying? I mean, I certainly would support services that are necessary for the community as well as necessary for the medical school in terms of what their needs are from an educational perspective. So,
I think the partnership is very important between Meharry and Nashville General Hospital. One, because, even when I was a medical student, going over to the hospital and be able to round on patients and get that experience dealing with the underserved, because, when you're a physician, you meet all kinds of people from all walks of life. I've treated, patients who were billionaires, and I've treated patients who weren't billionaires. And so, just having that partnership between Meharry and Metro General Hospital allows the students to come in and see different walks of life and to deal with their needs. Just whether you are underserved or whether you have a lot of money. Hypertension will kill you. Diabetes will kill you if it's not controlled. So those with money may have more access, better access to health care, but at the same time, it's very important that partnership remains so that we can train our students, our Meharry students. Some of the things, they need to bring in more specialists, specialty services so that those students have access and they don't have to go outside of Meharry to get that training. So that's something we need to work on in terms of getting more specialists interested in coming to the hospital. I don't know what that entails. I'm new to this, but I do know what it takes to run a business.
So it'd be all encompassing and comprehensive.
Yeah, people like one-stop shop. They don't like to have to run here and there and there and there. Yeah. And part of that, to make it work, you have to have specialists and primary care surgeons, GI. You have to have them there for people to want to come.
I think she had no.
Yeah, I want to make sure everybody. And I just wanted to see too. Also, how does it look in terms of a lot of Metro employees do not use, even though we don't have to do a co-payment, a lot of Metro employees do not use Nashville Metro General, and just what your position would be on that and getting more people involved. So we'll have agreements that are coming up soon and contracts, and just how you feel about that. Do you think we should continue not to use it?
No, I think the Metro employees should use it. But I think it goes back to, number one, forming that trust and the stigma that comes with Nashville General Hospital, and getting the Metro employees to see that Nashville General Hospital, their staff, their physicians, they're just as good as anybody else or any other hospital you go to. But you have to change that dynamic, that way of thinking. How do you do that? Part of it is PR. Public relations. Part of it is, getting people over there and word of mouth, and them telling, I went over to Nashville General Hospital, had a great experience. Like, I'm sure you've told people that, just if you have a bad experience, people are going to talk and tell people, I had a bad experience. I'll never go to that hospital.
And that could happen anywhere.
Exactly. You said Southern Hills, you'll never go back. So now I'm like, ooh.
Well, now I didn't say Southern Hills bad. I'm not going back there because I like General more.
But, but you have to, word of mouth, people listen, to what people say.
That's true.
And so if they hear something negative, 9 times out of 10, they're going to say, well, I'm not going to go and experience it myself because my friend told me,
Have you all utilized PR testimonials of patients that may have been Metro employees, people like myself who, had other insurance and opted to utilize Metro General
Are there plans to use people for PR purposes to change that mindset?
Well, I think they have used them. I was just trying to see what the board was.
Right.
Yeah. So I know that they have used them. I just wanted to hear the commitment from the board and just to see also with there being so much press. I mean, I think we've got to be transparent too. If you're committed to not saying things negatively about Metro General in the paper as well. I mean, because we're seeing that happen as well, and just really trying to see the level of commitment there. Because I think we're a very fragile place, and we've invested a lot of money, and just really want to hear that you're committed to it, staying a hospital, and whether you're committed to inpatient or outpatient, really.
It's all the services, like what you said, OBGYN.
And that's why I just kind of want to hear from everybody. If you're committed to it or not, just let us know.
Well, I'm committed to it because I did my residency there.
Okay.
I know what, what Nashville General is about. I've had, when I was a resident, people, I remember working in the ICU and taking care of a patient, and the family member came and said, you know what, I just want to say you guys took just great care of my father, and I've heard so many bad things about Nashville General Hospital, but now that I know I will never speak poorly of Nashville General Hospital. I said, well, you make sure you tell all your friends who told you that that's not true.
And so are you committed to it still being inpatient in a hospital?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and to answer your original question too about the Meharry Nashville General connection, I've been in Nashville almost a decade, and one thing I know is that both of those institutions are integral to the Nashville community. So I can't give you any specific response because I don't have the information in front of me. I don't know it yet. Hopefully if all goes well tonight, I'll get that information and we can all work together to make sure whatever that partnership looks like serves both institutions because they're essential to Nashville thriving. Yes.
So basically, you're talking about the commitment and loyalty to the cause. Because it appears to me if you're not committed and loyal to the cause, it's just like being totally hypocritical. There's no need in being there.
And it'll be rough. There will be some things that when you get in it won't be rosy, but we just want to hear what the commitment is.
The commitment level. Yes, Council
I was just going to ask a question back on. I think I agree with you about the commitment level, but I also agree on the, I will say that as board members, what your role and responsibility is as it pertains to the hospital. Each one of you have a skill set that is necessary to provide guidance for the hospital. And sometimes I think in the business world you have to separate the personal from the business, because at the end of the day, from a government standpoint, from my neighbors, from a fiduciary standpoint, they want to make sure that we're maximizing dollars and providing care. They want to utilize the dollars to provide the biggest bang for the buck that we can get as far as care in this community. And that requires a board to have one commitment, it requires the board to have commitment, and it also requires you to, use your knowledge. Like, you have the nursing background, you know what's going on in the healthcare industry with regard to nursing. You know the healthcare policy from a government standpoint, where reimbursements is going. You've seen companies not making money and what needs to happen to turn it around. And sometimes what needs to happen to turn a company around is what's not popular to a lot of people. And you have the medical background, so you understand. I think you bring to the table the relationship and how the school can collaborate and the interdependency between the medical environment and the educational environment. But I think from a board perspective, what I'm looking for is some stabilization in the board, because we do know that we had another chair to leave. I would like to see the board champion the hospital, not as a sinking ship, but as something that can float. I don't know what floating looks like. I work in the healthcare industry, and I think I take on a different perspective than some of them, because I know what's going on, and I know that we're steering away from inpatient. Whether people want to hear it or not, we're steering away from inpatient hospital-based care. We're going to more small community-based ambulatory surgery centers, outpatient surgery centers, because the reimbursement is not there and the cost is high. And even acquiring medical professionals now has become a challenge. And so it's going to require, I don't know what next year, the next 3 years, 5 years look like. But I think it's prudent upon each one of you, with the knowledge, the background, and what you see happening in this ever-changing, fast-paced healthcare industry, to utilize those skill set that you have and bring it to the table to look at a strategy for going forward. You know, we know that we want to preserve the ability to service the interns and provide care. People in Nashville need a place to go to the hospital, but there's needs in this community. There's service lines, needs like behavioral health. So there are businesses that the public hospital can get into that can generate dollars, and also provide a vehicle for the residents to be in a career long-term that's going to be beneficial and profitable to them that want to go in it. And I don't know, I've heard this before and I never got a good answer about if there are service lines that, you know, the hospital is not able to get into. Are we able to assess what service lines we're in and figure out where the gaps are in this market and look at pursuing some of those, because there are some that the other hospitals that are not in.
Right.
So I would like to see the board strategize around that, because there is a way for the hospital to break even. I'm not going to say turn a profit, but they can break even. And so I believe that there are ways to do that, but it requires us to be in service lines where there's opportunity to grow the business, and also look at, you know, with the school, you know, maybe GI, we don't have the doctors to go there. How do we create a program around that to allow them to have the skill set and bring people in? I don't know what that looks like, but I'm very interested in the next year coming back here from the Board of Strategy, and not just patient-centered health care.
Right.
Because patient-centered health care is a myriad of things, but I want to see more so, you know, strategy-wise where we're going with regard to operations, service lines, and using your skill set and knowledge.
That's where we're going.
Well, Council Lady, that was very impressive. That was very meaningful and impressive. What you just, look at her looking like, what are you doing? No, really, I learned a lot from what you just said, and that was very impressive. They have their assignment now, and I'm sure that they will do well.
Well, we have to, because we do not have a tree of money, as my father said. We don't have this tree but we can just pass money on. And we have a limit. At least my neighbors have a limit as to how much they want to pay to provide care. And I think the expectation is they want to see the biggest bang for their buck. They want to see that we're providing care for all of these people with whatever we allocate.
And quality care.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And I believe the quality is there. I've not heard one person say anything bad from who's been over there. And I've been here 20 years. I just heard people say that it's an indigent hospital, and I think we need to change the topic on that, because it's not just a safety net. It's not just an indigent hospital. It's a public hospital that provides quality care to people in this city, whether you have the money to pay or whether you just you're coming up short and you're not able to. It provides both. And I think if we market it as to what it is, it's a hospital, just like HCA, just like Baptist, Southern Hills, any other hospital, and it provides quality care. And you have great doctors there. I know quite a few of them, so I know that they're providing the same care as some of the other places like Vanderbilt. And I think if we start talking about it as such, it would generate the footprint to come in there to help, you know, keep the cost manageable.
Language is very important. Anybody else? That was great. Yeah. Oh, Councilman?
3 quick things.
Sure.
One, Ms. Fisher, whenever we've got somebody whose firm does lobbying, we make sure to get a promise that if there's anything in the general vicinity of a conflict, that you'll promise to abstain from the vote at the hospital authority.
Absolutely. I certainly promise that. I've already run a conflict check through the firm, of course, prior to even accepting this, and have talked to the leaders of our government relations group, healthcare service team, and regulated business to make sure that they're aware of this opportunity, that they're cleared with it. We have attorneys in our other offices who served on boards, and I've already kind of gotten the heads up internally of to be not just above board, but beyond above board, and be aware of any opportunity where I need to recuse myself.
And having been around law firm conflict checks, the things to watch out for are, I think, when month in and month out there's meetings, if there's vendor relationships, that's not going to have popped on your conflict check. And so I'd encourage you to, at least for the first year, as you get the rhythm of it, to make sure if you got to run a supplemental check, just to make sure. I would recommend that you do that. Second thing, I wanted to underscore one of the things Councilor Dowell said. I mean, you guys read the news for the last several years. There's been supplemental appropriations every year for the hospital, and you've read the news about the budget problems we just had. Like, there's no supplemental this year. Joel knows this. That there's going to have to be a bake sale out in front if more money's needed this year. And that's, like, most of us in this room have been at the forefront of trying to get the supplementals passed. And so it's in a spirit of the utmost support that I'm just sort of underscoring there is no money tree this fiscal year. And then the third thing, just slipping on my hat as being the chair of the council's special committee about the hospital, since I got Dr. Webb, legal counsel, and board chair all here. Congratulations on getting an agreed upon contract extension. And I'm wondering whether I can get a copy of it so I can see what the performance criteria are. And I don't know who the right person is to.
Thanks in that to you.
All right. That would be great. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Can I get them?
Move to approve.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposers? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for serving.
Yeah. We have a parking pass if you so need it.
Passes.
Thank you so much. Next, we have the Tourism and Convention Commission. The reappointment of Mr. Fletcher Foster.
You get two because you're pregnant.
The reappointment of Ms. Lisa McClaren. And the reappointment of Mr. Hank Lachlan. If you would come forward. Thank you so much.
Oh, sorry.
Someone's got to do it, you know?
Tourism and Convention. Fletcher Foster, Lisa McClare,
Somebody's got to pay.
and Hank Lachlan.
Yeah, this is
Fill one up. How are you? Good. Nice to see you.
Oh, hey.
Fletcher, the reappointment, each one of these are reappointments, and they expire June 30th of 2021 for each one. And I'd like to ask you simultaneously, are you residents of Davidson County?
Yes.
Are you registered voters in Davidson County?
Yes.
Anyone serve on any of the boards or commissions?
Not for Metro.
Metro, no. Okay, if you would just briefly tell us a couple of things you're most proud of about yourself, and we're going to move right along. We're kind of narrowing it down due to time constraints.
Simply, I'm grateful to live in a beautiful county in a great city like Nashville, and to have watched it blossom and bloom for many years. And serving with the guys and ladies over at the NCVC has been a point of great pride, and I look forward and hope to get to continue that.
Thank you.
I moved here from from Wichita, Kansas in 1983 to go to Belmont, and moved to LA in 89. Moved back in 95 because I couldn't stay away, and I've been here ever since.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
I love this community.
I'm the general manager currently of the Hilton Nashville Airport. We were the Holiday Inn on Elm Hill Pike and Briley Parkway. Most people in town have a story about that hotel somewhere in their history. They don't have to tell it. It's all good. And I've been here for 28 years now and love this community. And also enjoy working with the folks over at the CDC. They do a great job for us. I think we've got some challenges ahead because we've been very successful, and so maintaining that success is a big challenge, and I look forward to working with them to keep that going.
Thank you. Questions, comment, remarks from the committee?
Very quickly, I think you all love Nashville as a neighborhood, but sometimes when the tourism is booming, we have a tendency to lose, a local town charm. So as a convention commissioner, how can you assure we don't lose those, city charm?
I'm in the music business, and I was watching at Music Fest last month, just how much fans were engaged in this community and how much they embraced what we were doing, and the charm of a big city like this. They were so amazed that we still have that ability to kind of greet people with a smile and know about our city and be able to communicate what's going on in the city. And I've heard so many great comments from fans, those 5-6 days that I was out and about.
I think there's a couple of things that our CVC does and does well. One of them is provide training to individuals that work in the hospitality industry. And I'm encouraging my team to become ambassadors. So you go to 5 different training classes that are a couple of hours apiece and actually take a pass that get them into different venues so that they can learn about them and direct our tourists there and explain to them what's charming or fun or interesting based on what their individual interests are. And I think that is terrific. The other thing that they've started is this, forgive me, I can't remember what it's called, where you're a volunteer, a greeter. Thank you very much. The greeter program where if you're visiting town, you can meet somebody for an hour and then they can give you some suggested itineraries and places to go. I think those are 2 huge things that will keep that small and make sure we're introducing the neighborhood.
Very hands-on for very, a big city.
I agree.
It's that personal touch.
I think Council Lady Hurt has something.
Okay, Council Lady Hurt, you're recognized.
Thank you very much. As chair of the Tourism Committee for the council, I'd like to add that the CVC does support a lot of local activities like the Tomato Festival, Hot Chicken Festival, the Jefferson Street Jazz and Blues Festival, those local things that make Nashville that all-inclusive and something for everyone. And I think that helps keep that southern charm and that, edge that we have that other places do not.
I think you all do an incredible job. Butch is the best.
Yeah.
He's helped make sure with his leadership that the brand of our city is strong wherever you go. One of the things I would like in the future for you all to consider is those videos that they use to market the city, making sure the council members are privy to those, because I was able to see them when we were working with Weston and trying to get them here and some other folks in the hotel industry.
Okay,
But thank you.
Recognized.
I'm going to keep it short because the chair, we need to move on. You guys do a great job. I would ask that as the years roll forward, keep in mind downtown workers have grown to more or less hate working downtown for big chunks of the year.
I love working at the airport.
Well, it's very difficult, and sometimes, and especially when we have big events, it's so built around people coming into downtown. If you're a downtown worker, you literally can't escape from downtown
or you can't get there probably. Right.
No. I mean, there's nights where downtown workers spend an hour and a half to get 3/4 of a mile from their parking spot, and the egress plan for the people who actually make the money downtown is, we need to work. I know that's not like it's a whole bunch of people involved in that, but just keep in mind that downtown workers in general are really growing to dislike trying to work downtown.
Thank you so much. Get a motion?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposers? No, the ayes have it. We thank you so much for serving.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Next we have Council Lady Allen.
I don't need one.
They've got notes.
No, did you? I took an Uber and I'm going to a show.
I think,
Shuttle down.
Oh, you already got one.
there was a stack.
Familiar.
There was a stack out on the second.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good to see y'all.
Council Lady Allen, would Would you come up, please? Okay, we have an amendment to substitute ordinance number 2018-1197. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so the bill itself is about a composting facility, an anaerobic digester that is part of our that hopefully will be part of our zero waste, solid waste master plan. The way the substitute is written, it talks a whole lot about the need to have this public hearing for the Jackson Law, but it forgets to mention what it is and that it is part of our solid waste, zero waste master plan, which I think are important issues to make clear in the ordinance. So I am simply requesting to be able to add a couple of recitals that put that information into this bill in law. The nature of the emergency is it's not amendable on third reading, so I need to get it in now, and I apologize for
Public
not.
Works Committees are in full support.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Anybody, any
Motion
objections
sound
to that? All in favor?
Second.
We have, you want to say something,
I mean,
Councilman?
I love it, but I mean, every once in a while when we say no to people, like having suspended the rules to add recitals is sort of a bad precedent. I mean, I get it, but just like expect people to be unhappy when we say no.
Okay.
Robust discussion, go for it. How many?
Rules were made to be broken.
So is this something that we can defer one meeting so your amendment isn't late filed?
I can't amend it on third reading. We would have to defer the whole bill, which is
Right, and also.
I guess that's what I say.
I'm with Councilor Dowell if rules are made to be broken, but I'm just saying we're going to hear about it.
Well, I agree, and I think that was the conversation too that we had when we were talking about putting this in place. And is that because I was in opposition to putting it in place, because I felt in most cases things that came about, it wasn't something flagrant. It wasn't just I didn't have my information in on time. A lot of times it's amendments and things like that to track with the bill. But
All in favor? Thank you for that. Any opposers? It's 6:30. At this time.
Wait a minute, we have one more. Jeremy Elrod's.
Jeremy Elrod.
He's not here.
I think that bill itself is
It's deferred one meeting?
Yeah.
Thank you.
For one meeting. Okay, we adjourned. Thank you so much.